All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night here on the Paranormal Portal, and I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Welcome to the show, first of all. Hope you guys had an amazing week, and welcome to the weekend. Thrilled you're spending at least part of it here with me. And we've got an amazing show lined up for you guys tonight. We are welcoming three incredible guys who I've got to know pretty well, and they are also out there on the YouTube and podcast versed. And they have a show called, in case you haven't heard of it, and if you haven't, you might be living under a rock, but it's called Hometown Ghost Stories. And I am welcoming to the show tonight Mr. Rob Coakley, Dave Wilkins, and Jesse Wilkins. How you guys doing, man?
We're so sorry that Dave could make it, first of all.
Well, we'll put up with him. I gave him a frame.
I get my own frame. I love it. I'm so excited.
It's like the Hollywood Squares over here, which is a little bit of foreshadowing as it turns out. But we're going to go through the night talking with these gentlemen about, I guess, a little bit about what they're doing and what they've been up to, as well as just all of the craziness that is the paranormal. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to this. This will be a good time. So, gentlemen, how long you guys been doing this? I know you've been on the show before, but just in case there's people watching that aren't familiar with you, give us a little background on this.
It's been 84 years, I think, now.
Feels like it. We've been doing the podcast for a little over 2 years, but as Rob said, it feels like about 84 years. The amount of time we put into this. It stacks up, but we love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but we've also been doing paranormal stuff since way before the show. This started years and years and years before. I think we went through the whole story at one point on your show. Yep. But yeah, we've been covering and going to haunted locations for, God, millenniums now.
You know, they say time flies when you're having fun. So if it feels like 84 years, what the hell's going on over there? I'm just wondering. No, you guys are awesome. I can't praise you guys enough. Not that my opinion matters a whole lot, but I really love what you guys do. I love all of the attention you put into every episode. I mean, each episode is really distinct and unique, and it's well done. You guys do fabricated video elements for each new episode, and I don't know how you guys squeeze that into just your life in general. On top of the fact that, you know, you're doing these shows and you're going out to locations, but it's incredibly well done. I mean, my hat's off to you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we make it work. I mean, it helps that there's three of us, so we're able to divide it up. It's not one person doing all the work, so it's not like we have one guy doing every single video. So each week we can do, you know, each person's going to take one location and cover the main story, record it, do their own video production, and then it's on to the next guy for the next week. So it does work out. There's three of us that are capable and can figure it out and make it work, because it's basically like having three different shows running, and then we'll all hop on and discuss and do our own research on it. So we're making it work. And, you know, it's hats off to a lot of the, you know, it's all about the listeners and the viewers, as you can attest to as well. If it wasn't for the crowd and the community that we've built, man, I don't know if we would have done it this much. So, like I said, we enjoy it, but it's, you know, it's all about building a community and having a good group, a good core of listeners that stay dedicated and make it fun every week. And, you know, you're another live show, so you understand how live chat can just keep the flow of the podcast going, and they always have us cracking up and everything. So it makes it great.
The other good thing about us having three of us, to your point that you made earlier, is although we have a format that we follow, all of us have a different way of presenting the episode, right? So Jesse really gets into a lot of like the breakdowns on how toasters are made usually. Dave is phenomenal at making ghost stories. And then who knows what I do? Rob just
wings it. Yeah. We're still waiting to see what Rob's good at. 2 years, we're bound to fucking figure it out. I don't know if I can swear.
I was just about to bring that up. I let it slip as well. Do you Do you keep it PG on the show or no?
Well, I think tonight it can be
So no. All right.
NC-17. That's okay.
I'll try and dial it.
Because usually by minute 8, Rob has his pants off already. So it's running out of time here, folks.
Well,
Ghost bait.
We're getting there. Now I got to ask you, just in terms of planning, and this is more me looking at your logistics than anything. Do you guys actually have episodes planned out weeks in advance to give you that window, or are you guys like me and you're just pasting this together right before the show?
For the most part, no. We kind of figure out what we're going to do kind of like last minute, and then we put it all together. But there are some episodes that are planned weeks in advance, like our big episodes, September and October. Those are all planned out. Any of our locations that we visit in person, those are usually planned out. We got 2 big episodes coming up for Austin, Texas. We went down to Austin last weekend. So those are obviously planned out. But for the most part, we're kind of just figuring out as we go. Obviously, we have to figure it out a little bit in advance because we have to produce the entire episode. So, but no, we don't have a stockpile of episodes ready to go. We wish we did.
Yeah, I know how you feel exactly. And sometimes I get lucky and, get a lot of interviews and stuff, and that works out for the podcast. But, the YouTube stuff is just, it's kind of a mad dash and grab and just pull things together and hope it sticks. But you guys make it look easy, though. I mean,
Thank you.
I don't want to make this about let's praise hometown ghost stories, but
no, that's fine.
Please do.
Keep going. But you guys are just doing such an excellent job over there, and your channel is really growing, really quickly. I'm really impressed by that. So, what have you been up to lately? What are the big things you guys have been doing lately?
Well, as Dave just mentioned, we just got back from Austin, Texas. So we went down there, a very haunted city, did a weekend down there, made it a point to visit absolutely every single haunted location that we could visit. Weren't able to investigate all of them, but we did an investigation, multiple investigations at the Driscoll Hotel, which is where we were staying for the weekend, which is actually a really, really nice hotel, which worked out because sometimes you go to these locations and they're not the nicest hotels. They're usually pretty run down because that's why they're haunted, right? But that was actually a treat and a delight to stay there. The staff was really cool. They provided us with some exclusive stuff that will be airing on the episode. And then we also did a little mini investigation at the cemetery, which was a really cool cemetery. Unfortunately, the day that we were zipping around town on these scooters that you can rent, it was absolutely freezing in Austin, Texas. It was like the coldest day of the year for them. And of course, that's the day that we're literally on scooters just flying around town because that was the best and cheapest way to get around. But so we were freezing our asses off, but it was
well, luckily we're really strong and incredibly tan, so we were able to endure and get there.
That's right. Yeah. So we hit those. We hit quite a few locations. The state capitol building is rumored to be haunted. We were actually able to get inside. Now, Dave and Rob went inside. I was loaded up with paranormal equipment in all of my pockets. And I'm like, I'm not about to take all of this out and go through a metal detector and explain why
we have a REM pod.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is funny because Dave actually, they pulled Dave out of line at the airport and was like, what the hell is this device? Thinking it could have been a bomb or something, but there was
have you seen a REM pod, what they look like?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, it's like a cylinder with a little
looks like a little
antenna.
Looks like a really big flashbang. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks no bueno if you're trying to get it through TSA at the airport. So I had to explain that to him.
But
he's like, you're doing what?
But to Jesse's point, that Driscoll investigation, we can't really say much more, but the evidence that we have to share is very different than other stuff that we've had before. And I can't wait to do that episode.
Oh, do you have a target when we can expect that?
Yeah, a week from Tuesday,
I think.
Yeah, March 5th.
Yeah, we're doing 2 parts on Austin. So we're going to do Austin this Tuesday and cover everything but the Driscoll. And then for the next one, we'll do the Driscoll and maybe one other location down there. So we're just going to try to hit all of it.
That's fantastic. Wow. So you guys, when you're doing this, do you have a lot of luggage in terms of equipment that you bring, or do you usually pack pretty light, or what's that look like?
For that trip, if we're flying, we traveled light. So with that one, we just kind of took the necessities. And I went with just a backpack and had it absolutely jam-packed full of equipment. But if we're driving to a location, then we'll bring absolutely everything.
Oh, cool. Okay. And you guys are in what state?
We're in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, that's right. Okay, I'm geographically challenged, so I forget that stuff all the time.
Well, so is Dave.
Yeah,
get right along with
great
Dave.
minds.
Yes.
But we get so many haunted locations around here. We got to go do the S.K. Pierce Mansion a few months ago. Oh. That's up in Gardner, Massachusetts. We did the Shanley Hotel in New York at late last year. I believe it was late last year.
Yeah, September.
So we've gotten to cover a lot of really cool haunted locations. We're doing New Orleans and in September. We are doing the convention that's at Penhurst Asylum in May, which we did last year as well. So we're getting to see a lot of really cool places and cover them. And I specifically have gotten to check out a few extra places because I've been traveling a bit more. Mm-hmm. I just got to go check out the Albany Rural Cemetery. It's actually our last episode from Tuesday. We covered that. Very, very cool. One of the coolest cemeteries I've ever been to. Like, your listeners, if they're into cemeteries, look up the Albany Rural Cemetery. There's a ton of haunted stories. Probably go listen to our episode on it and hear about all the hauntings. But just in general, go look at the pictures, because I think socialites had a battle about who could create the biggest headstones in this cemetery. And there's like 15, 20-foot tall headstones all around. It is insane.
Wow. That's crazy. They're very old as well, yeah?
Yeah, the 1800s. Okay. There's a president buried there as well. So it's very upscale, but there's also parts that are like run down. It's really cool.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I when you go to New Orleans, are you going to check out those cemeteries?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. we have to go see Nicolas Cage's burial site that he already has prepared for himself.
Oh, he does? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, buddy,
you got to look it up. It's no. He built a pyramid.
Oh,
yeah, like a mausoleum pyramid. Yeah, it's amazing.
Did they have to?
It does not fit in with the rest of the gravestones in that cemetery. It's like you got all these like mausoleums and and tombs, and then you just have this pyramid just sitting right in the middle of it. It's completely white too. It's just it completely stands out. But yeah, he's got it planned out.
Did they have to bulldoze a bunch of other graves in order to make that happen, or how did that work?
So.
I mean, because those things they're old. I don't know if they're still expanding them or what, but I thought there was a very fixed amount of space in those.
If you look it up, it looks like he dropped it right in the middle of like a walkway. Like, it doesn't look like it's not in line with the other ones. It's just like really looks like it's inconveniently placed. But hey, he bought the plot. They sold him it, so he's got it all laid out for himself.
Wow, he's ready.
Yeah. Well, somebody will be dragging his body out pretty soon. I hear that happens a lot.
Pretty soon. What do you know?
Okay.
We'll throw him in there, and the Declaration of Independence will be in there probably, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I think it's really cool that you guys get out and do this as well. Again, having the time and the ability to do that is an amazing thing, and it's something I'd like to do a lot more of. I've done some investigations, but you guys have really been all over the map, huh?
We're trying to.
We've hit some really cool locations over the last 2 years. Some that people know, some that people don't know, and some that we went to expecting nothing, and then ended up being some of the more terrifying locations that we've covered. So, to name a few, the Oliver House in Middleborough, that was one where none of us even really knew what it was, but it's a historical home right outside the Bridgewater Triangle, technically. Oh. But it was basically like right around the corner from all of us. Dave used to live in Middleborough. Rob was right up the street from it. We were all like within minutes of this home and never knew it existed. And we found out about it while doing a paranormal convention on the USS Salem. And we're like, yeah, sure, we'll go check it out. And we just never expected to get anything. And it ended up being one of our best investigations we've ever had. That one comes to mind. And then Lucy's Bridge up in Vermont. That was another one where like, let's just go swing by this bridge and get some footage of it. And then Emily's Bridge, not Lucy's Bridge. Sorry. Emily's Bridge up in Vermont. That was one where we're like, we'll just stop by tonight and go check it out, get some footage. And it ended up being another crazy investigation. So you never know with these things. And even if it's not the most haunted location, you might just be showing up right place, right time and catch some pretty cool evidence.
I was going to ask you, and that I'm glad that you said that, because I think a lot of times, these investigations is really hit or miss, and it doesn't really speak to whether a place is active or not. It's just more about whether it's active when you were there. There does seem to be some kind of biorhythm to the activity. Would you guys agree?
I would. And it's like people that are new at investigating, we're not veterans by any means. We do it as much as we can, but we're still learning as we go. I think a lot of people expect when they go into a haunted location, especially someplace like Penhurst or something that has like this big reputation as being one of the most haunted places, or you go to like Trans-Allegheny or any of those, you name them. But I think they expect it to be almost like a Halloween haunt, where they go in and right away things are just going to start happening and you're going to see pictures shaking and doors slamming. And sometimes it's like you might be there at an off time, or you might have to be there for hours.
Yeah.
And then there's some places where you do get stuff right away, but people are impatient, and you really got to have patience with this kind of stuff and be able to analyze everything, and also not chalk absolutely every noise that you hear up to the paranormal, because you got to work to scientifically look at these things and debunk what could be just a natural occurrence and what might actually be paranormal.
Yeah, absolutely. I went, I had the benefit of going to St. Ignatius. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's a old hospital up here that's long since decommissioned in Washington, or is it? It's in Washington. And it's a really, it's the epitome of the abandoned hospital from, the last century, early 1900s. And, the paint's just coming off in sheets on the walls and stuff. And when you walk into it, it looks like, oh God, this is going to be a little sticky. And it was one of the quietest places I've ever been, really, And it was just, I was there over a period of 2 nights, but you just don't know when this stuff is going to pop off or when it isn't.
We did an investigation at the USS Salem, and lots of people have gotten lots of evidence there, and we got nothing. The night that we went, we received very minimal. We didn't have enough to even show anybody anything, but that's part of it. You're not always going to get evidence, even if a place
we had
is
the whole
haunted.
boat to ourselves.
Wow.
The night. We got nothing. It was so disappointing. But like Rob said, that's part of the game, really.
Yeah.
It was even more disappointing because when you get a cool location like that, the footage that you get looks so cool. It's a giant battleship at night with the, just the pipes and just being inside of a ship like that. The footage is so scary looking. And you get the red lights that are the only sources of light in certain rooms, and the old hospital beds and everything. You're like, this is going to be the most badass episode of all time. And then we straight up just didn't air any of the footage because we didn't get anything. We're like, oh, well, that sucks. Maybe next time.
Oh,
Stock footage it is.
Yeah.
So you guys just talked about the history of it rather than compile an actual investigation video from it.
Well, we actually did our episode on the USS Salem before we did a full investigation on it. So we did an episode while we did a convention on it, and while we were there, we're like, all right, let's get footage and we'll knock out an episode about it. So we basically just talked about the hauntings. We did some spirit box sessions and some light stuff, but there was too many people on the boat. You had to rule out any kind of noise because it's all just noise contamination because there's a convention going on. So we tried a little bit, but didn't really get much on when we were there for the weekend. And then I think it was like October or something like that, we got the ship for an overnight investigation. That's when we did the actual investigation, but that was long after the episode came out. Had we caught some stuff, we would have done USS Salem Part 2, overnight on the boat or whatever. But,
oh, sure.
Yeah.
I just got to check with our chat. What Paranormal Portal exchange personal haunting experience or investigations from Ulysses the guitarist.
Ulysses is one of the greatest.
Yes.
One of the greatest, yes. But that is literally what we're doing right now. So he got what he asked for.
Yep, you got what you asked for.
We're exchanging paranormal stories, yeah.
So of all your investigations, what would you say are your top 3? You named a couple already. I don't know if those are your top, or I should say most active locations where were there others that really stand out to you guys?
We're going to leave Austin off the table since we haven't
Sure.
aired the footage there yet. So we're not going to count Austin yet. It may be our top 3. It may not be our top 3. Tune in March 5th and find out. What I would say for me, I'm just going to steal this and answer it first, would be Emily's Bridge, the Oliver House, and the S.K. Pierce Mansion would probably be the 3 that stood out the most to me, just in terms of one of them. The S.K. Pierce Mansion is relatively known, right? I think a decent amount of people know that place. Emily's Bridge, not as well known. It's up in Stowe, Vermont. And like Jesse said, we went there. I went there thinking the entire story was BS on that bridge. And we had something happen there that it's never happened before. or since, really. And the Oliver house, we were like, how do we not know about this house that's 15 minutes from us? It can't be that haunted. And you find out the history about Benjamin Franklin being there, and some of the history that happened after he was there with the family, some very big tragic events with family members passing away. And then it's the only place I ever got touched for an investigation. So those will be my three. By Dave.
No, yeah, got that one on camera. It was, a scratch, but I agree. I think in terms of the investigations that we've done, I mean, we can't really count it for the show, but we did a ton of investigation at Rob's old house, which is in the Bridgewater Triangle. And that place, we got easily the most insane haunted happenings because we were able to investigate it 50 times. For Rob, it's every night,
50 like 50 times a minute for me.
Yeah, exactly. So but we were able to investigate it basically every Friday, Saturday night. We're like, yeah, let's just go investigate Rob's house again because that's fun. And it was something to do. But those were fun. As for locations that we visited, I mean, the Conjuring house was a big one. So that's one that most paranormal groups, have on their list or have been to. Mm-hmm. I would love to do it again, but do it differently. We did that one there was like a company that was putting on the ghost tour or ghost hunt or whatever. So we did legitimately get it overnight. It was just, there was too many people in the house. The house is really small in real life. It's not, so if people have seen the first Conjuring movie, this is the house that movie was based off of. It's nothing like it is in the movie. It's a tiny little house, tiny little farmhouse. And it's, the walls are super thin. The floors are super, super thin. If you're in the basement, you can hear conversations going on the top floor. So noise contamination was a huge problem. The people that were running it, there was some of them were awesome, and then there was a couple there was just one dude who was an absolute tool, and he was just kind of faking stuff, and it just ruined the whole thing because it's like, okay, thank you for the prank, thanks for the laughs, but we're really trying to do something serious here. We're really trying to do some investigation, but the guy was just he was a massive tool. And that was what he did. So I would love to go back and actually rent the house out with just a small, very, very small team, probably just the three of us, and do that house again. Because while the investigation was fun and we got some cool stuff, group was too big and kind of took things out of it. But with that house, I mean, I remember going back into it after we had wrapped up. At this point, the sun's coming up. It's like 5:30 in the morning or something like that. I'm like, all right, let me go back through and just make sure I got pictures of every single room because I want to make sure that we don't blow this opportunity. And when I went back into that house, I was all by myself, and it was absolutely terrifying. And it was so much different than when we had a big group of people in there. So I definitely feel like there's something evil there. We did catch some cool evidence, but I'd just like to approach it differently if we were to do that again.
Yeah. For me, so ditto on Emily's Bridge, ditto on Middleborough there, that house.
Yeah, Oliver house, yeah.
But I feel like we always forget about the Houghton Mansion all those years ago.
I know.
In Western Massachusetts, in the Berkshires. We got some of the best evidence. We had the door slamming on cue. Ooh. It was a French door with plate glass, and you could see through it, obviously, and it was open, and we'd ask whatever was there to shut the door, and it literally would slam the door on cue. We got it twice, once with a countdown. Crazy. We have the video online. It was one of the most, we couldn't explain it. One of the most inexplicable things we've seen. And then when I was investigating one of the rooms, I was trying to get whatever spirit was there to respond to me. And at the time I didn't hear anything and I was frustrated, whatever. We went back and reviewed the footage. Every time I asked for a response, there was a subtle banging that we could hear in the background of the audio, which was really cool. So we had one piece of evidence that was in front of us all. We saw it happen with our own eyes. And then another one that we found after the fact. This was a great location that you can't actually investigate anymore because the building's condemned. I believe they shut it down since then, but wild.
It was a black mold situation, but that was outside of investigating Rob's house. That was like our first like real investigation. We had just reached out and we were filming. It wasn't Hometown Ghost Stories yet. This was years and years and years ago. We had a different idea for basically the same thing, but we had approached it differently. And I remember there was a situation, Rob was up in one of the bedrooms and each of us had like a challenge or whatever. Either way, what it ended up with was Rob was laying on the floor doing his investigation. Maybe he was tired or just being Rob, but there was the loudest like slam that we heard. It sounded like if you were to take like a Bible and just stand next to someone and just throw it down on a wooden floor. That's what we heard on the camera and or in the footage. And you see Rob react to it. Rob jumps up so fast he actually knocked over the table that was holding the camera and everything like that. So we definitely got that. That was a wild night. And it was, I wish we were more equipped with better equipment, but like I said, that was just, we were early on in the game. We didn't really know what we were doing, but
well, it's funny though, right? Because we have all the good equipment now, but back then we just had what, like a spirit box and a voice recorder or whatever else we had.
Yeah. We showed up with so much nothing.
Yeah, we had so much information or so much evidence there,
Wow.
and
it was funny because we drive out there. First of all, we're like, all right, we got to be there by like noon. So we meet up at like, 10 or 11, and then we plug into the GPS, and we didn't realize how far away it was. So we're in Massachusetts. We're on the East Coast, right near the beach. And we plug this thing, which is also in Massachusetts. We figure Tops is placed probably an hour away. We throw in the GPS. It's like 3.5 hours. We're like, oh my God, we're idiots. Yeah. So we call them up expecting to be like, never mind, don't show up. But they're like, yeah, whatever, show up wherever you can. So
yeah, we showed up at like 7.
Yeah, we were late. We get there and we're like, all right, equipment check. All right, we got like nothing. We got
3 things.
We had a spirit box and like 1 video camera. We're like, all right, we're going to Walmart. And thank God they had a Walmart. And we went there.
Flashlight.
We got flashlights, and we got flashlights, walkie-talkies. We got 2 voice recorders. They actually had a surprising amount of stuff and kind of bailed us out. Because the last thing we wanted to do after driving all across Massachusetts is show up to their front door and then be like, okay, where's your stuff? Like, oh, we got this and this. We just look like idiots. But we pulled it off, and hey, with minimalist stuff and last-minute Walmart equipment, we end up getting some of the best evidence we ever got. So
you got to start somewhere, man. Yeah. Like that's where it is. You start somewhere. That's where we started. Yeah. Got away from it for a little bit, but the idea was always there. We would always kind of talk about it, and then we just were like, you know what? Let's just do it and just go from there. And we started with the Bridgewater episode, and that episode was crazy because it eventually went around in the Bridgewater like Facebook groups and stuff, and somebody reached out to me, and it ended up being the woman that bought my grandparents' house, telling me haunted stories from the house now. And it was stuff that I didn't even share in the episode.
Oh wow. That
we also had experienced, because I always try to justify those hauntings. So it's just really crazy, but that was a very cool justification when that message got sent to us.
Bro, we've been talking about it off stream for months. We got to set something up. We got to bring you out. I'm sure your audience would love to see. See you on a collaboration investigation. We got New Orleans in September. You're welcome to come down, or we should plan something up.
That would be brilliant. I love New Orleans. I think, of all cities in the U.S., everybody thinks of New Orleans when they think of hauntings and stuff. And I'm sure that's well earned, So there's so much history. I was just thinking when I started, I just had a K2 meter too. That was it. I had a K2 meter and a flashlight. But I was going to ask you about the Oliver hosts, because you said you kind of stumbled onto it. It's like right next door. Do you have plans to go back, or have you gone back other times?
We haven't gone back yet, but we do have plans. We tried to go back another time, and we couldn't make it happen because they had booked up. But yes, short answer is yes, we do plan to go back.
Yeah, I think those kind of locations are amazing. When you can find them, and since it's lesser known, I think there's something with like the bigger places, like you mentioned Penhurst, and I was talking about St. Ignatius, where they get this pretty steady stream of traffic through there. So I don't know, but I suspect that somehow diminishes the amount of activity you can expect, because there still may be presences there, but I just don't think that they're as likely to come out and entertain you when people are coming through their nightly, especially during the Halloween season, which is about when I went out there to St. Ignatius. There were people booked every night, teams and teams coming through. And if I was a ghost, I'd be like, screw this, I'll just hide in this, brick or whatever. I don't know where they hide, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be, Penhurst in particular.
Yeah.
Should be haunted every moment that you're there. I mean, like that place is widely regarded by a lot of experts as probably the most haunted place on the planet. Like and it has every reason to be. You have thousands of people that died there, so much misery and abuse that went on there that it's just like, if any place is going to be haunted, it's got to be that place. So we didn't really get a chance to fully investigate. Actually, we didn't really get a chance to investigate at all. We were just there for the convention for the weekend. So I would love to actually do like a legitimate investigation. There's just too many people there. There was thousands and thousands of people at that convention. And they did have this little thing where it's like you could pay $7 billion to go do a ghost hunt with the cast from Ghost Hunters. And we're like, that sounds cool. But it's like, we saw them I mean, first of all, we didn't do it. We're like, that's just, we're not going to get anything good with a group of people but we saw them lining up as we were packing up, and there's like 200 people going on this ghost investigation in the Mayflower building. And we're like, this is like, how can you conduct a proper paranormal, I guess, investigation with this? It was more so, pay for a ticket to hang out with the celebrities. But actually, Steve Gonzalez from Ghost Hunters, who was at that event, I just finished his book, and he talked about all of his investigations that he's done at Pennhurst. And he himself says like Pennhurst is the most haunted place that he's ever been to. And obviously the Ghost Hunters cast has been all over the world doing ghost investigations for years. So I think he's a pretty credible source when they talk about that one.
The one pushback I'll have, Brent, is I used to think the same way. Like if all these people are coming through, then it must be diminishing it.
Right.
But I don't think so, because we went to the Shanley Hotel, and that one it's not the Stanley. Like people like confuse it with the Stanley. The Shanley's in New York, but the Shanley basically operates just as a haunted location like these other ones. And it's actually beautiful inside too. We were shocked at how nice it was inside the building once we got there, but they're doing investigations basically nightly. And we still got some really, really good evidence while we were at that particular location. So I really just think it's timing and
timing, and probably how you approach it as well.
Yeah, that was where it's going with that. Being in tune with it a bit, as well, and taking it seriously and understanding what you're looking for, which is something that we are constantly learning. Right. It's just like anything, though. You should be learning every time you do it. Once you think that you know everything, you should probably stop doing it.
Yeah. Well, that brings up a good point. And this is something that I've held as and I think many others have too. I don't believe that I came up with this theory, but it seems to me the more people do things like investigating stuff, perhaps the more sensitive you get to the energies in locations like that. Would you guys agree that as you've been doing this? Well, Rob, you kind of grew up in a place like this, so maybe for you it's just always been, or maybe you're not sensitive. I don't know. But do you guys find that as you're doing this, you're becoming more aware of like, God, I got a feeling in this room, or more of that, at least an empathy for where you are?
Yeah, you get that, but go ahead, Dave.
For me personally, and I came into this as like the hardline skeptic, it's less, I don't really get more of like a feeling when I'm in a location, but I have a better understanding from hearing different people's stories and reading about different theories and reading about different ideas and possible connections with other dimensions and other spirits and whatnot. I have a better understanding of what this is all about. And it's less of a, I won't say that it opened me up more, but it opened up my mind more. I'm more accepting. So now when I walk into a haunted locate or a potentially haunted location, I'm less shut off, right? Now that I understand where other people are coming from and what some of the ideas behind it could possibly be.
You also got to approach each situation differently. So it's important to do your research. You can be kind of careful with it, because if you're researching a location and it says that, okay, if you go and look in the mirror and flash the lights really fast, you might get a ghost behind you. Then you go into that location, that's the only thing you do, right? It sounds stupid. That was just an example. But if you have your mind set on, okay, here is how I get ghosts to play trick on me, maybe it's a whole different approach. Maybe the source is bad. Maybe the ghost doesn't do that anymore. So it's like you got to kind of feel out the situation, know the history of the location. And a lot of these paranormal happenings, like, they're not show ponies. They're not just gonna like, oh, let's go perform a trick. We have more visitors. Let's go do our tricks. Like, sometimes you get I've been trying to do this more with investigations, is try to have a conversation with an entity or whatever might be in that building more like I would have a conversation with a real person. So you don't just walk in and be like, who are you? Who is here? You know, it's like, you know, someone walks into my house and be like, dude, get out of here. Like, I'm not talking to you. Why are you acting like that?
Yeah.
You know, so I'll just have a conversation. Like, introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about yourself. And it sounds goofy when you're sitting here talking to an empty room, but if you're actually trying to make contact with a spirit or something that used to live there or something that doesn't even know it's dead, then introduce yourself like you're walking into a stranger's house. Be like, hey, how you doing? I'm, you know, came to visit and I'd love to have a conversation with you. You know, so it's just, you want to change your approach. It might be different in each location depending on what you're dealing with.
And other people are different too, because that point you bring up about feeling, I would say out of the three of us, I'm more of the feeling guy because we've gone to locations and I've walked into a room and I just get this, it's just, I don't even know how to describe it sometimes, this feeling that I get. It happened, I noticed it the most at the Oliver House, and then retroactively, I started thinking back to other locations we went to and I'm like, oh shit. Oh shoot, sorry, we're on Paranormal Portal, not Hometown Ghost Stories. But I walked into a room there. So what happened at the Oliver House is when we go to a location, we try to get there before nighttime so that we can start getting what's called B-roll footage and stuff and stock footage of the location, walking through it, just getting, you know, video of the place itself. And we went there and we were doing that. And I was on the first floor and I thought that Dave and Jesse were on the second floor getting stuff. So I walked up to the second floor after I finished some of the first floor stuff, and walking through, I realized I was there by myself, and I walked into this room and I just got this utter pit and like this very like like I just felt real off, real heavy. And as we were doing the tour with the tour guide, I was like, when we got to that room, after I ran out like a scared little child and found the group. But as we're doing the tour, I'm like, can you please tell us about this room? I got a feeling. And she's like, oh, that's interesting that you got the feeling in this room. And then she told us the story of that room, and it kind of all checked out after that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've noticed the same thing. You know, that the more that I go to these locations, the more that I feel, at least I feel like I'm more tuned in, and I don't know, it doesn't always pan out, but I like the comment that you made about these things not performing, because I think when you look at our popular culture with ghost shows and stuff, it's like, well, they go to a location, they set up equipment, and God, things just happen. And that's just the way it is. And it creates maybe an unrealistic expectation. Then you go and you might be sitting in a dark room for hours and nothing happens. And if you walk out with any kind of EVP, that's a good night, you know? And I think there's a big divorce between a lot of people's expectations versus the reality of it. You know, you just may not get activity.
Right. Well, you also got to keep in mind that two things. Number one is, and you know this obviously, but they're condensing an entire night. Sometimes with certain ghost shows like Ghost Hunters, sometimes they'll go for an entire week or two, and then you're seeing a 44-minute episode on what they caught over the course of 2 weeks. So they're there every single night doing these investigations for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, it seems like, wow, they went right in and they got all this stuff within 44 minutes. That's crazy. Now I'm going to go investigate this place. I'm going to get stuff right away. And it's just not the case. It's just, you got to remember, you're looking at a condensed version of those investigations. Same thing with our episodes as well. Our episodes will run 15 minutes, but we're there for an entire night, sometimes 2 nights at locations. So what you might get in that video really is a summarized version. And then the other thing with network TV is certain shows are, if they don't get something at a location, they might just be faking stuff. You never really know when it comes to network TV. So you got to kind of take those with a grain of salt, because you got to remember, it's still TV, it's still entertainment. They're still looking for the next season. It's their job, and there's going to be ratings involved and stuff like that. And if they do back-to-back episodes with no evidence whatsoever, that's just bad TV. So you never know with these things. I'm not saying certain shows fake it or whatever, but I wouldn't rule it out, especially with a lot of these YouTube channels with these quirky kind of investigation pages and stuff. So you got to be careful with it.
We got a question from Ulysses the guitarist. He says, how would you perfectly prep for an investigation?
Get a lot of batteries.
Like 3 bottles of whiskey for you, Dave?
Just
batteries.
one's fine.
Yeah. Charge your stuff and bring extra batteries, because
We talk about it all the time. Every single investigation, it is, I believe it's something paranormal that they will drain your equipment. I think we've actually talked about it on this show before. Like your equipment's going to go dead because that's the theory is, spirits are going to use that energy to manifest or create some sort of a haunting. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a pain in the ass because you need to get a whole bunch of new batteries and plug in your cameras immediately when you get there again, even though you charged up before you left. It's just every single time we've ever done an investigation, it seems to be the case that everything just dies right away. So bring backups and get ready to charge up your stuff.
Where were you where we actually just got mad?
That was SK Pierce Mansion. It wasn't just the batteries. So it was like everything died. We're like, oh, here we go again. This is a pain in the ass because we're on a time limit here, right? It wasn't one that we had for 10 hours. It was one that we had a few hours to get everything that we needed to get done. And everything was dead right off the bat. And then it was also the memory cards. So out of all of the cameras that we got, most of the footage that we ended up using was cell phone footage because 2 night vision cameras, both of the memory cards corrupted. The 2 HD 4K cameras that we use, but I have a pile of memory cards. I think I showed them on stream. Actually, Ulysses, I think, who just commented in chat, he had commented. I think he does some sort of photography or whatever, or somebody that was in chat. And when I showed the pile of SD cards that we had that all got corrupted, I cannot use a single one of these things anymore. That was all of our footage. So all of our night vision footage gone. It wasn't like, wow, look at this cool thing that happened. This is paranormal. It was just an absolute pain in the ass. That's what it really was. And it happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Eric says, can't you bless your equipment so ghosts can't drain them? I'm going to bring a priest, and I hope that's not a joke. I hope it's serious because I'm looking for answers. I'm sick of this.
Yeah, I agree. I've often wondered about Faraday cages, if you could build some kind of Faraday cage around equipment that you could still film and stuff and operate, but be a shield to that EM interference or whatever. But yeah, I think that's interesting.
I do wonder though, if you do that, are you jeopardizing the idea that your camera might catch something paranormal by doing something like that though?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a possibility. I mean, are they a visual anomaly, or is it an EM anomaly that somehow the camera captures because it may stimulate some of the light spectrum we don't normally see? Those are all possibilities, I guess. But
could be good and bad though. Like, hey, my camera worked all night, but now I caught nothing. So
good
just
news is
drinking whiskey.
Your batteries are fine. Your batteries are fine though. Let's go to the next question. Chucky Danger, do you think spirits can have attachments like alive people?
Oh, what, like spirits attaching themselves to each other?
Yeah, or is it possible that like a human spirit could maybe have a dark attachment still in the afterlife from, something that may have happened?
Oh, shit. Oh, sorry.
No,
I can't stop.
Don't bother now.
I never thought of that though. That's interesting. So if you're alive, right, and you're possessed by a demon, and a demon attaches itself to you, and you subsequently die, is that spirit, that demonic spirit, still attached to your spirit in the afterlife? That's a crazy question that I had never even considered.
Yeah, me either.
Wouldn't that be frustrating if like you're possessed and you die and that's what happened, and then you come back as a ghost? You're like, all right, well at least I got rid of that demon. Oh God, he's still here. Like, come on, give me a break, man.
That's a great question, and I haven't heard. Tough. I mean, how would you hear? How would you hear a story like that, right?
Well,
because
interestingly enough, I've heard some mediums suggest that there are some dark entities, possibly demonic or otherwise, that may tag people, and then after they pass, they are kind of yanked to the demon rather than going through the tunnel or whatever and passing on, like they're tethered somehow. And I thought that was interesting, and maybe it's kind of the same concept, really, as an attachment. So I don't know. It is an interesting question, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the idea with certain types of ghost wraiths and stuff like that, where they just kind of lie in wait. But you have, or I think it's the Revenant that. No, those are like zombies. I'm confusing my ghost types, but that's a possibility. And then you hear it in certain hauntings as well. I believe it was the Whispers Estate, where there was like a spirit of a little girl, but behind that little girl always seemed to be something bigger and darker that was lurking with them. And it sounds like maybe that big dark demon or whatever it was still attached to that little spirit. So I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a crazy thought, Chucky. Thanks for asking. Glades Creatures ask, any Fresno night crawlers or walkers reports explanations? Do you guys familiar with that one? The Fresno Nightcrawler?
I'm familiar with
creatures crawling around Fresno, but that's a different kind of creature.
Well, these are cryptids actually, but well, allegedly, but basically, it's an old video that was around for years and years, and it looks like I don't know if it was from Fresno, I guess, because it's called the Fresno walkers or night crawlers, but I think it's basically, it looks like a pair of pants walking around, like it's just these legs with like the midsection, and to me it looks like a marionette. I'm sorry, I can't get behind that one personally. If I'm right in what you're asking, Glades creatures, I don't.
It unfortunately looks really goofy.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's a real haunting, if the footage is real, then it's great. It's just, it really looks like a pair of legs. It just, right. I don't know, the shape of it is goofy, but I mean, if you see that and you don't have an explanation for it, it's no longer goofy.
Right.
We were just talking about it last week with the cemetery we were just talking about in Albany. There's a haunting of an old man who's wearing like his old 1800 style pajamas. And it's just, you think about that and you're like, that sounds silly. But if you see it, it's no longer silly. That is terrifying. And this would be terrifying too.
It would be, except when you watch the video, it really does look like if you took an empty pair of pants, suspended them by the waistband, and then attached like strings to the end of the legs and lifted them up and simulated walking. So it's like they don't bend like a leg or like anything's in them. It's just like this, this wrinkly fabric going up and down as it's being budged along. So I don't know. I mean, could it be? Yeah, I guess anything is possible. But it's just one of those at first blush. It's like, I just can't get behind this one. I mean, there's just nothing there. It's just these pants walking around. So, but there is things like blemmies and stuff, which are also really strange, that are allegedly a real creature, at least legendarily, which are basically, it's a torso with legs and arms, but the face is actually on the chest and gut.
I can't wait to start digging into some more cryptids.
Yeah, we're very fresh. We do side content as well.
Sure.
Our main episodes are always going to be focused on ghosts and hauntings. Mm-hmm. Again, we cover, just for your listeners that don't know, our main episodes, we pick one town or city and we only cover the hauntings or one big haunting in that town or city. But we dive into side content and we start talking about cursed possessions. We talk about celebrity hauntings, but we've also started diving into cryptids. So I might actually see if me and Jesse can replace Dave with a Fresno Nightwalker at some point.
Yeah.
Probably drinks less whiskey.
I gotta say, I can't stop watching the footage now, so I got that on a different screen right now. It absolutely looks like someone in a costume, just walking goofy like what's the Monty Python skit? Silly Walks?
Silly Walks.
I mean, if it's actually something paranormal, it's terrifying, but this is just, it looks like someone in a costume.
Another question from the chat. From Rachel Gets It Right. Do you think when people say they witnessed apparitions in graveyards that ghosts are drawn to the residual energy radiating off the bones of the dead buried in the ground to refresh themselves?
I don't know if I've heard about anything that suggests that bones give off residual energy. Mm-hmm. I've never heard about that. I know that energy will leave your body in the form of heat when you die. Mm-hmm. And I know that, but I've never heard, I know that energy can be stored in certain kinds of stone, but I've never heard anything about residual energy emanating off of dead bones.
Yeah, so I would assume that would be more so tied to the location that somebody died at. So if people died in the cemetery, then I wouldn't rule it out, but I think that energy would be leaving their body wherever they actually died, which is why I think there's a lot less haunted cemeteries than you might think. So typically you would see a graveyard like, oh, that's creepy, that's probably haunted. But more times than not, most cemeteries, there's a billion cemeteries in the United States alone. Most of them are not haunted. Some of them are. And we actually talked about it again. We talked about it last week, which was the Albany Barula Cemetery has a strange heightened amount of suicides that happen at that cemetery, which is, I think, that's more of the reason why it's haunted. People just showing up to their loved ones' graves and taking their lives there. Very sad, very unfortunate. But when you have, it's like a double whammy, right? So it's the cemetery, they're tied to that location, and now they died there as well. I think that could definitely do it. But I mean, you can't rule it out, though. I think it's possible.
Anybody else?
I was going to bring up the point that Jesse just brought up. And as we were talking about it, I was thinking about the people that were buried alive and their residual hauntings in graveyards.
Oh, man.
And that must be the worst, right?
Sure.
I don't know if we'll ever see them, but maybe that's some of the cemeteries that are haunted as well. Just hauntings of people that were buried alive on accident. And I think it really depends in terms of the cemetery and what happened in that particular spot. So I don't think that you haunt a place because you're buried there. Sure. Personally, we don't make the rules. We always say we don't make the rules. Maybe you do.
You could, and there has to be some sort of energy that still comes off of a dead body, even after. I mean, you have cadaver dogs that can sniff out bodies 50, 60, 70 years after they pass because of the bacteria that forms, particularly in the bones of humans. That's kind of how cadaver dogs work. So they got to be giving off some sort of energy, right? So I would say yes.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Ulysses, the guitarist, comes back with, would you rather battle 100 ghosts or one demon?
100 ghosts.
100 ghosts? Yeah.
What kind of ghost are we talking?
just the pants ghosts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Then yes.
Fresno pants ghosts. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those things crack me up.
Just bring an iron.
They have no arms. It can't be that hard of a fight, right?
Yeah. I think you could outrun them.
I bet they run pretty fast, though.
You think so?
According to that footage, no, they walk really silly.
Yeah, it's really just like a marionette. It's pretty crazy. Let me just see if there's any more in here. I did want to ask you guys about different pieces of equipment. Do you guys have any structured light cameras, that shows the stick figures or anything like that? Do you guys utilize those?
They're kind of hard to come across. So you can build those. You can kind of construct them yourselves with the old Xbox Connect things.
Yes.
There's other apps that do it, like the GhostTube app, but I really think it's nonsense. Like with that one, it just seems to pick up, and I'm not saying anything about anyone that chooses to use that, but it doesn't strike me as authentic.
Sure.
Because it just kind of picks up on human shapes in absolutely anything. Like there'd just be a pile of books, and if they happen to look like it has a head and shoulders, it's like, boom, anomaly detected. I don't know if it's really picking up on anomalies, but the Xbox Connect ones are cool. And I did a lot of research. I'm like, I want to figure out how to build this thing myself. So I don't know if they've evolved the technology at all. I would love to use like an SLS camera.
Yeah.
In investigations, we just haven't had the means to construct them.
Yeah.
Because you also you can't just grab an old Xbox Connect and plug it into an iPad. You have to get an iPad that still has like Windows 7 on it or something like that. Like it can't be a newer version. Maybe it's changed since I looked into it, but when I looked into it, I was like, these are way too many steps. So unfortunate. Do you have one, Brent?
No, I don't. My friend that I research with, Charles Howard Johnson, has one. And we had a really cool thing happen, and it'll be in an upcoming video that I'm going to release. But when we were doing the St. Ignatius thing, we were also staying at a haunted Airbnb. And it was pretty well known to be haunted. And I'll tell you that the activity there was way over. It was crazy compared to what St. Ignatius was, which was totally backwards. I thought it'd be totally different. But I put out my REM pod first, and it was just going crazy in this kitchen area on an island. And it wouldn't stop. It just wouldn't stop. It was just whining and screaming, and the lights were going crazy. And I was like, God, something wrong with my REM pod. Well, then Charles went and got a couple of his, basically the same technology, just different builds. And he put those out, and they started screaming. We're like, all three of our devices were screaming. So I turned it off, and I got one of those yes/no pyramids with the green light on one side and the red light on the other. And I put that up, and the side towards the kitchen sink was just going off constantly, but the other side not. So I thought, well, what the hell's going on? So I switched the thing around. Now that uses a proximity detector. It doesn't use EMF. It uses basically a proximity detector. And it was going off like crazy by the sink. It just wouldn't stop. And then I moved it away a little bit, and it's still going off in that direction. Then I rotated it so that the red side was towards the sink, and that west side went on, off, on, off. And it wouldn't stop. And I was like, well, God, something's over here maybe. And I was wondering like a vortex or something. But anyway, I decided to move that yes/no detector to the living room floor and just put my camera on it, and I'm filming it and stuff. And I'm starting to ask questions, just if there's anything there. Green light comes on, yes. And then I'm asking questions. Are you human? Red light, no. And it's just going on and on, getting this incredible interaction. Well, Charles in the meantime had got his SLS detection or SLS camera, and he's walking through the house and not mapping anything. I mean, all through the house. But he came in the living room, and he sat in the chair next to me, about 4 feet away or 5 feet away, and he's filming the triangle on the floor with his SLS camera. And he's mapping a figure that's reaching out and triggering it at the same time as the responses are coming through.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so the correlation was amazing. I was like, whoa, this is really something, but I know what you mean, because, you know what I mean? It'll just be, a lampshade, and suddenly there's a stick figure dancing on it. It's like, well, I don't know. Is that what they're doing? I don't know.
Right. Is he using like an actual device that's built, or is he just using the iPhone app?
No, he's using the device that's built.
Yeah, that's what I figured. He's using a real device. Yeah,
the Kinect camera. Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, need to get my hands on one of those. So if anybody listening wants to donate one to Hometown Ghost Stories, you reach out to us. We need one.
We'll send you a T-shirt.
When we do our collaboration investigation, you bring that guy, or you bring his stuff. Okay.
Yeah, because if his name's Charles Howard Johnson, he must have hookups at hotels as well.
Right.
I don't think it's the same family, but still, yeah. At least he can knock it off with the name, yeah. But yeah,
if he goes by 3 names, he's got to be like a VIP member at different hotels and stuff. So,
or a serial killer.
Oh, he's an amazing guy. He's just I don't think I've ever met a kinder man. It's just I've never even seen him angry in all the hours we've spent together. It's just he's always just that same.
Not gonna lie, that's what people say about serial killers.
Well, he might have a point.
Expected it.
Didn't see that coming.
Stay under the radar.
Yeah, exactly. We got another question from the chat. Eric Fry asked, "You guys believe Tombstone is haunted or just a tourist trap?"
Haunted as hell, bro.
Haunted as hell. Yeah.
I'm judging by what we covered.
Say.
Well, we tried to go to Tombstone this year.
Yeah, I know.
I tried to make that happen, and we got no response, because we would love to go and see. I think everything that's big sounds like a tourist trap.
Sure.
And that includes Tombstone. That includes
Conjuring House,
the Conjuring House, the Winchester House. You name it, and it sounds like a tourist trap because they're leaning into it. Mm-hmm. But I think you have to take each individually and go and see what people are getting, what you're getting there. Mm-hmm. I don't like to rule anything as a tourist trap anymore. I raise my eyebrow at some, mm-hmm. right? But until we actually go investigate it, I mean, Tombstone feels like just like any other place. I think there's hauntings everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some of the hauntings that people say happen in Tombstone don't happen. I'm not going to say they do or don't, but I guarantee there are hauntings within Tombstone itself.
Yeah. Everyone talks. I was going to say we would have to visit it to really determine whether or not we really think it's haunted. But judging by the stories, I'd say yes. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Just saying, like outside looking in, right? Because we've never been there. But if you look at places that are very haunted and the reasons that they're very haunted, and you look at Tombstone, like how long was Tombstone a populated town for? A very short amount of time, and then it was a ghost town. There weren't that many people that went through Tombstone and died there. So I think if you're talking about, because everyone's like, oh, Tombstone is the most haunted this, most haunted that. How many people have lived and died in these old cities in Europe, right? Like these are very haunted cities because so many people have lived there and died there. There's so much energy there. There's so much life and death there. And in Tombstone, it was a very short amount of time, very short amount of people. How haunted could it possibly be? That's what I would say. And I've never been there. So like these guys said, we don't know. We're just speculating. Sure. But for me, I would say it's probably not one of the most haunted places, because how could it be?
Mm. Yeah. I think they probably are cashing in on the reputation for sure, because hell, it's Tombstone. Everybody knows that name. It's
called Tombstone, right?
Yeah. It is a cool name. And I mean, a lot of people they get kind of put off by haunted locations capitalizing on these things, but you got to keep in mind that they need to a lot of these places, they need to capitalize off this thing to keep the property afloat, right? So they need to restore the building. These are old houses and buildings and structures that need money. And if they aren't doing paranormal investigations and they don't have a merch shop set up, that money is not coming in, and the building is just going to fall apart until they bulldoze it, right? So, and we hate to see that. There's nothing worse than a haunted location that I got on the list of places I want to visit, and it all of a sudden either gets shut down or torn down because they didn't have the money to upkeep it. So while a lot of people are like, oh, they have a gift shop and everything, like it's like, yeah, well, they should, because they need that money, and we need that place to stay upright. And so I'm all for it. You want to put a gift shop, you want to do a haunted attraction on Halloween, I say do it all. Just do whatever you got to do to keep these places built and keep them from getting shut down permanently, because I want to visit all of them.
But just let us investigate it on our own. Keep everyone else out when we're there. That's all I ask.
That's it.
You just want the VIP. Yeah, I got you.
Yes.
So another question from chat. Blow Me in Chicago, a.k.a. Nancy, says, who are your favorite TV investigators or least favorite?
Ooh, it's a loaded question.
I'll start with this. So I'm just going to speak for all of us. We're not going to answer who our least favorite is, because you never know who you're going to work with in this space.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who I've been coming around to, like in terms of TV personalities a lot lately, is Jack Osborne.
Okay.
Because he has so much passion for it. Mm-hmm. He might not be the best investigator out there. He's not bad. I'm not knocking him at all, but he might not be one of the more like well-known in terms of like shows, and he always does these different things. But every time I see him doing something, he's very, very passionate about it. So I just love his passion for paranormal investigations, and he's one guy that I would love to do something with in the future.
Yeah.
I love how fast Rob jumped in there. I was like, we're not going to answer who our least favorite is, guys. Shut up. You shut up right now.
I made a list of my least favorite. I can't read this. All right. No, I like Ghost Hunters, the OGs. They were the ones that really, you gotta respect it. Yeah. You gotta respect that they were the ones that started this on the mainstream. Now, they obviously weren't the first paranormal investigators, but they got the TV deal. They've done a million seasons, and I respect the fact that they do certain investigations and they aren't afraid to say, like, hey, listen, we got nothing. Yeah. We got nothing tonight. Yep. And it's rare to see on different YouTube channels or different network shows that aren't afraid to say we got nothing tonight. Yes. So I like that about it. And I just like the guys that they're likable. And my least favorite is Rob.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, it's being honest. No, just all right, I gotta agree. I mean, I don't think I try not to bash anyone, but I do kind of take issue with the shows that present slamming doors in every episode and things moving in every episode, and it's like, God, that just defies all the odds. That everywhere they go, there's chairs flying and there's doors slamming and there's glasses smashing and all of this crazy electrical stuff. And could every location be that? And I don't think so, but I still enjoy watching them just for the sake of, to see what people are doing. And I think, sometimes even those shows may catch some valid anomaly, but I think there's a great pressure in production aspect to create sensational shows. And I'm not blaming the teams, but I think that sometimes the editing can be really misleading. I'll say that. But again,
did you watch the show 28 Days Haunted on Netflix?
Yeah, I did.
Did you watch the episode with the God helmet?
The God helmet? I think I saw all of them, but I'm trying to remember what you're talking about.
I'm not saying it's good or bad, but if you haven't looked into the episode with the guy with the God helmet, go take a look.
I think. Speaking of editing, just at the end of that show, where they had that guy who had been dealing with that negative spirit or whatever, and they got it out and stuff, and then I think they're in the graveyard later, and the camera catches the guy just turning his head and doing a side look, but they stopped it there until stopped it in the evil look and froze that frame. It's like, oh man, that guy.
They couldn't decide what they wanted to do.
You guys
with that
are
show.
Really trying to get me to just unload here, and I'm gonna keep
Rob's
my
biting
mouth
his tongue.
closed.
I didn't say it was good or bad. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I watched it too, and like I said, I enjoy the shows, but I do think that there's some entertainment value in them, but I think that there are people out there, like I've always respected ghost hunters too, because one thing I always appreciated about it was they were never running out screaming. You know, they weren't, you're ghost hunting. What are you there for? If when a ghost shows up, you're like, hitting the ditch. You know?
Okay, that's me. That's what I do. Dave, who's your favorite? Because we didn't hear from you.
I don't watch ghost hunting shows, so I have no opinion one way or the other. I literally don't.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I think your point is valid though, Rob. I mean, not being in that space, I can't understand what their process is and all that they have to deal with. And I'm sure there's a lot more to it than my meager little ghost hunting attempts. So,
well, and just to play devil's advocate really quickly on that, not to defend anybody or whatever, but we just told you about an episode that we never aired because we didn't get anything.
Yes.
Right. So are they going places that we don't even know about and just not airing it?
Sure.
Until they go back and actually get something.
Right.
It could be possible. And it's different when you are doing YouTube or you have an actual network TV show where you need to get the ratings and everything like that. So it's different. But Mr. Thomas, if we do an investigation, you don't show up in a God helmet, I'm going to be disappointed.
Are they eBaying those now? Where do I find one?
I don't know.
I think you make them out of Legos, if I remember correctly.
You have to order it from God himself.
You gotta go meet God.
Yeah, that might be counterproductive, but okay.
Yes.
Maggie M10 has a comment. How important is it to investigate as a team? Do you think there is more activity in a group?
I think this is an interesting question because I really think it depends on the location.
Mm-hmm.
So there's locations that we get more activity as a group for sure. And then there was a particular room in the Oliver house that only basically I was getting activity when I was investigating solo, and it's happened to Dave, it's happened to Jesse. So I really think it's location, and that location could be room specific as well. So in the SK Pierce mansion, another one that we investigated, and this was as a group. So this is why this group was good. We were in the red room where we brought our friend Crystal Quinn with us to do the investigation. And when we were in the red room, it would only respond to me, Jesse, or Dave, whatever spirit was in there. Mm-hmm. And then when we went to this other room, the spirit was responding almost exclusively to Crystal. Like, it did not really respond to us much at all, but when Crystal would speak, it would respond to her, which was really interesting. So I think that's why it's important to go as a group, to have different people that the spirit that would want to communicate with. And I also think it's important to do stuff solo because sometimes maybe they just want to talk to one person.
Right.
Right.
Two different...
And for the same reasons that Rob is saying, also, I think it's important to do both, right? So you pick a room in a house, you want to investigate that room with a group of people. Number one, because more people, you have more eyes, more ears, we're going to catch more things. And you also want to do that same room with one person, because if you're with a group of people, you can be distracted. You could miss stuff that you're not going to see when you're by yourself. You're able to focus more by yourself, and you might catch stuff that you wouldn't catch with a group of people. So I think it's important to do both. Don't pick one, don't pick the other. Do both, but do them separately.
It's also important for efficiency reasons. So this is the other side of it. So if you have a group, then we can send 2 people upstairs with EMF detectors and go get a baseline reading. We can send 2 people downstairs. We can go get the footage that we need to get by all splitting up. Like, all right, I'm going to go tackle the attic. You tackle the basement. I'm going to tackle the middle floor. And we're going to all get the footage that we need. It's an efficiency thing as well. So it does help to go in with a plan. That's a huge thing. First few investigations, we're like, all right, let's go figure this thing out. And then we realize, like, halfway through our investigations, like, we need to go in with a game plan. Yeah. Who's pairing up with who's taking what room, and then if they're not getting anything, then let's switch it up. Let's go solo into certain rooms. And it's important to have a game plan, decide which equipment is going where, when are we doing this, how are we switching up this, and then it's also much different when you're filming it. So if you're going in and just doing an investigation, you get a lot more freedom to kind of do what you want. When you also are filming, it's a whole different monster, because then it's also a big production. So it's activity wise, it's important to
to switch things up and go with the group, and then efficiency wise as well.
And knowing your location too. So if we went to the Conjuring house, we would keep that group really, really small the next time we go. 3, 4 people max. And we wouldn't be able to do that thing where we go and investigate separate rooms at the same time because the noise contamination would be too loud, would be too much. So we could only do one room at a time there. Where if you're in the Shanley Hotel, that's 3 different floors and it's a massive, massive building, you could investigate the 3rd floor and the 1st floor, or the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor, and not overlap and hope that one of you actually captures something.
Yeah, and then it scales up if you do something bigger and bigger, like you do a prison, or if you do something like Penhurst. I mean, shit. Sorry. I mean, damn. That's so sorry. I am bad at this. Golly, if you go to Penhurst, you could bring 500 people, and you could split them up because it's so massive, and there's so many buildings, and everything like that. So you could actually realistically do the bigger the event, you could do bigger group. No, Penhurst, you could do 500. I wouldn't do 500. That's a lot too many. It's a lot of footage to go through. Yeah,
it's too much. Too much.
Absolutely.
I'm going next time we go to Penhurst. I'm going with no less than 500 investigators. So
I think last time we were at Penhurst, there were 500.
There were. Maybe that's why they did it. Yeah, but they all crammed into one building together. I'm like, oh god, it's too much. It's too much.
All right. Question from Chucky Danger in the chat. He says, "Do you think you've ever interacted with what might be described as an old god?"
Well, what's an old god? So what's interesting about dude, we got to get a soundboard for our show. So what is an old god, right? So an old god is, so before the Catholic Church came in and rebranded everything, there were a whole bunch of different religions. They were kind of balkanized without even realizing they were, and they all had their own deities. And then when the Catholic Church really became the main religion, they rebranded all of these foreign deities as demons. So a lot of people will name demons. They'll invoke these demons that were actually just gods of other religions. So I guess the question would be, what do you mean by old gods? Do you mean specific demons? Do you mean gods? How? What do you, I guess, elaborate on that question? I would say.
Yeah. I would make contact with demons, though, if that's the question. I don't know. Possibly. Hopefully not. Yes, I mean, we kind of want to, but at the same time, you don't want to. Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure, but we've definitely gotten communications via EVP and Spirit Box that are concerning. And not that I think anything demonic is at the Oliver House, for example, but we kept getting 666 coming through the Spirit Box, if you remember. And it was very strange. Same night that Rob got scratched.
Yeah, I got freaking scratched in that house. If there's
it's like, why would there be something demonic there? It's just, I mean, you never know. But have we gotten questionable evidence that makes you really nervous and makes you guess about stuff? Then possibly. And they do think that there is something demonic at the Conjuring house. And we got all sorts of strange activity in the basement there that could have been categorized as possibly demonic. So have I seen something I'm like, damn, that was definitely demonic, we need to go to church and get cleansed? And I would say no, but
I don't think we've seen anything demonic. And from what I've read from exorcists who perform exorcisms regularly, and they see people who claim they need exorcisms regularly, they say that the odds of actual demonic contact is like 1 in a million. It's so rare.
Sure.
And despite the fact that they get calls all day long and they're performing these exorcisms all day long, they say the chance of getting a legitimate demonic encounter is almost zero. So if we're talking about demons, we definitely haven't encountered any. I think most people have not encountered an actual demon, I believe. But if you're talking about ancient gods, I feel like that number would be even lower.
Yeah.
I don't know, that shadow figure at Emily's Bridge sure felt demonic when we were looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, evidence of it being demonic is that's a leap. So I would also say no.
The piss in my pants was the evidence of it being demonic.
It's evidence of you being a bitch. Sorry. I can't stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, the
language... We're going to have some editing to do tonight, baby.
Oh, no, we're unedited. The language filter's off, brothers.
We'll still try.
That pony's left the stable.
like within the first 35 seconds of the show.
I know. I'm going to get that red check mark at the end. You may not demonetize, or you're demonetized on this episode, but
we ignore that.
Oh, you should be good.
It asks us like, did you use any? The checklist is like, did you use any profanity? Did you talk about anything inappropriate? And we're like, well, yes, but nope, none of the above.
Well, the checklist is just for the opening screen there.
Yeah.
So
we're fine. We're fine. I'm not worried about it. It's not like
that is a bill.
All right. So the next question, what from Steph A, what is on your investigation bingo card top 5?
Like in terms of going to?
Yeah.
What we want to visit?
Yeah, your bucket list.
Dave?
I'm gonna throw Waverly Hills. I'll throw my 5 because I got it off the top of my head right now. But
okay.
Waverly Hills, Trans-Allegheny, Sally House, Villisca.
Oh, Villisca.
Penhurst, actual investigation, Penhurst. Those are my 5.
Good. Oh, you're gonna make me do 5. All right. I'll piggyback off Villisca and Sally House. That's on our list. We got to do those 2. We got to do them in one shot too, because that's the play. I would love to go to the Idaho State Penitentiary. I think that would be a cool one to go to.
I could make that one.
Yeah, I know you could. I would like to go to St. Augustine Lighthouse. Would be a really cool one, and I would love to go see the Aztec pyramids down in Mexico City.
Nice.
Any haunted location in Japan for me to start.
I love how Roger starts out with an entire country. Like Japan,
Japanese,
Australia, the moon.
The moon. Someone's got to land there at some point, right?
Yep.
But
no.
But just Japanese spirit culture is very fascinating to me. So if we could get into any, we've covered a few. If we could get to any of those locations that we covered, there's a bridge there that is really, really cool that I would like to get to. Chillingham Castle. I would love to go to Chillingham Castle.
Good one.
And investigate there. The Sally House is my number one. Sally House is my number one. We need to do that. That is one we will do.
Yeah.
And probably within a year or so, I feel like we're going to get to the Sally House. I want to go back and investigate the old Bridgewater house. My grandparents' old house, to be completely honest. Now that there's new owners there, it's been completely renovated. I know that's not a super exciting one for other people, but just the amount of history the three of us have with that place.
That would be cool.
To be able to go back there would be really
nostalgic
cool for us. Yeah. And
because you guys said Sally House and Villisca, I'm going to amend that. I'm throwing Alcatraz on the list and Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary.
Yeah, I was going to say Brushy as well.
Brushy will be fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a twisted place for sure. And I'm back
absolutely.
Those old prisons, they are just they're packed full of pain and agony. So I'm sure there's lots of fun over there.
We need to do a prison. We haven't investigated a prison yet.
I haven't either.
When we weren't arrested.
We've investigated a few places in Plymouth before, yeah.
And Bridgewater.
Those jails, not haunted.
Not haunted.
I'm
Do
just.
you want to hear about Rob getting arrested almost naked?
Why not? We're already cussing. Let's go.
It's after dark. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
It wasn't almost naked. It was in a Batman onesie, first of all.
That's true.
Yeah. That's what I almost got arrested in.
I got a I got a dancing lobster in my head. Now I got Robin in Batman.
Yep.
You showed up at a weird time of that stream, my friend. That was
You guys are polluting my mental process. I'm trying to catch up with the chat there, just flying in here. So I know there was trying to find capital letters. Makes it easier. No. Okay, Rob. This is from Blow Me in Chicago, a.k.a. Nancy. Rob, did growing up in a haunted house make you, well, I guess we kind of covered this, more sensitive to the paranormal? Yeah.
I think it has. I think I've come more in tune with it. The more investigations we've done, and having that house as almost a baseline.
Yeah.
It has been very helpful for me. So I would say yes, for sure.
Okay. Rachel Gets It Right comes in with a question. Do you find that you have more paranormal events happening when you do investigations during a full moon? Do you think the solar flares, once they encompass Earth, can influence or increase ghost activity?
I actually heard that the new moon is the most likely to see a haunting. And I don't know the reasoning behind it, but that's what I read. And that it's, for whatever reason, it's the new moon, not the full moon. But I will admit that I think that we failed to pay attention to what the moon looks like on any of our investigations, which, to be fair, is something we probably should note, because I think it would be interesting to collect that data and look at it in retrospect. You look at, 100 locations that you investigate, and if the moon's in a certain place for all the ones that you're getting evidence for, I think that would be interesting to look at collectively. So good question.
It's definitely a thing. Like, it's got to be right.
Yeah.
With the full moon, whether or not it's paranormal investigation, I could say, just as someone who works in the city and deals with crazy people all day, outside of the paranormal universe, like people act insane when the moon is full. It's a real thing, and I haven't looked into too much of the science behind it, but it's got to be a thing. Brett, I don't know if you got to this question, if you wanted to, but I've scrolled up a bunch and I found Jared Daniels, who says, "Have you guys done that blindfold and earplugged session? How do you feel about that? Authentic?" I haven't tried it.
The Estes
if
method.
It's okay with
That's
you.
the Estes.
Yep.
The Estes, right?
Yeah, the Estes method. So we've dabbled with the Estes method. My issue with the Estes method is when I watch the Estes method in different investigations, I'm always like, is it fake? You know what I mean? Because you don't hear what they're hearing.
Right.
So what I want to try to do is modify the Estes method, where we have two outputs, one that's going into the noise canceling headphones and one that's going into a feed where we can actually play what's being played on the spirit box. So for those unfamiliar with the Estes method, basically you wear a blindfold, and the reason for the blindfold is so that you can't read lips of questions that are being asked to you, and you wear the noise canceling headphones, and you're plugged into a spirit box. So all you can hear is the white noise or the spirit box going on, and you're just relaying things that you're hearing through the device. And somebody else in the room will be asking the spirits questions, and then without the person with the headphones on knowing what you're asking, they will sometimes answer the questions either intelligently or non. And so sometimes when this method works, you get some of the most chilling responses, because when you have somebody that's dialed in, they're blindfolded and all they can hear is that spirit box, and they're just repeating whatever words they can make out of it.
Yeah.
When those answers that they're giving you answer your questions intelligently, it is absolutely chilling. And the most shocking and the most successful time that we had at this was at the Shanley Hotel.
Yeah.
And it was me and Rob. It was late, and we're like, all right, let's just go back to, what was her name? Was it Rose or Rosie?
I forget.
It was the little girl's bedroom.
room.
She had drowned in the well outside the house, and it was her bedroom. And we got some of the most absolutely chilling communications. And it was like we're having a conversation. There was a few things that happened during that, where at one point it sounded like someone was straight up just screaming in my ears, and I had to take the headphones off. And I'm like, I've never had that happen before in a spirit box. And then the other thing that I had happen was, with the blindfold on, I saw this weird like light anomaly moving back and forth, and I've never had that. Basically, I'm sitting here with my eyes closed and I'm seeing like a light moving back and forth, and it was the strangest thing that I've ever experienced, and I've never had it happen before or again since. So it was pretty cool. So we have had success with this. My only issue with it is you really have to trust the people that you're watching, that it isn't faked, because this is always the lens that we're looking at things through, is it authentic, and is this going to come off authentic to skeptical viewers? So it's tricky, but when you do have success with it, it is absolutely terrifying.
Our Shanley one, when we were doing it, I had this giant pit in my stomach and like goosebumps, because it was like, oh, like just the answers I was getting as I asked Jesse the questions, and I knew he couldn't hear me, was just like a gut punch almost every time, and just actually really scary.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was creepier than we ever thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm. You see, that's the thing for me. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable being like blindfolded and, and not able to hear anything, because I don't know, when you're in a haunted location, you're already on needles and pins anyway, just because you're dealing with whatever the hell it is we don't know, and you don't know what its intentions are. Well, why don't I completely disable myself?
Yeah,
while
we
everyone
also ran
else
this.
is...
The other time that we got something really cool, and it was very different, was we ran an experiment at the Conjuring House. And this is one of the ones that the team had put us on. They had us hooked up to this giant spirit box, like white noise generator thing. It was like the size of like a microwave. I've never seen one so big. It must have been a very old model. But either way, they had this set up for our little brother's wife, Catherine. So Andrew comes along actually in most of our investigations. Our chat knows him as Captain McSlugs, talented guy, very funny. But he was there, and Catherine was there as well. So they had Catherine hooked up to the Estes method, and she's blindfolded and has the headphones on and everything. And she seemed to be receiving directions. And Andrew had a camera, the night vision. We're in the basement, all the lights are off of the Conjuring House, and it seemed to be giving him directions. And it says like, and so Catherine's just reading out directions, just forward, go. And so Andrew's like, I'll just start following these directions. So he starts walking forward, and then she says, turn. And he turns down the hallway right at the right time. And then she's like, forward. So she has no idea that she's directing somebody. Wow. Because she has no idea, because she's blindfolded. So she has no idea that Andrew's moving. And there's like 10 people down there. So everyone's like blown away, like, what is going on here? And it says forward. So he keeps moving forward. And then she says, stop. And he's just about at the end of the hallway now. And at the end of the hallway, it said stop. And then Andrew just stops. And then it just says, hello, or something like that. And it was almost like the ghost was leading somebody down the hallway and around the corner. And then it had them stop right where that ghost was. And then it said hi to him. And it was like, we're all like, what did we just witness? And we included the video of it. It was like, I have goosebumps now thinking about it. It was just so strange. And just for her to keep giving, to mind you, she's blindfolded. She has no idea that Andrew's actually walking around and following whatever direction she's reading out. It was such a chilling, like interaction that we had with that. So the Estes method, when it works, and when it doesn't, it feels like a goofy waste of time. But it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Jaron Daniels' question: do you think most of the hauntings are residual?
Yes.
Okay.
I think most hauntings are residual. Like, if I would put a number on it, I'd say probably 95% of them seem like residual hauntings. I think intelligent hauntings are very rare. I think most of them, if they exist at all, are just residual, leftover energy that was absorbed into whatever natural material in the area. And whether it's imprints or whatnot, I think that is the majority of the hauntings, if not all of them. I think that the most compelling evidence is for residual hauntings from leftover energy. There's a really interesting theory that I read about when people walk into a haunted location, they'll say that they get a feeling that they can't explain, right? Like they feel sad for some reason, or they feel angry for some reason, they can't explain it. And the theory behind it is if somebody dies violently in an area, whatever emotion they were feeling at that time is attached to that energy that leaves their body when they die. So that energy that resides there, if you walk through it, you could feel that emotion that person felt when they died, which is lingering, and that energy that was left over. I think that's a fascinating theory. I don't know what kind of science backs it or whatnot, but I know that it has been studied, and it is a theory, and I think it's probably one of the best.
I agree. I think not necessarily that most or 95 or percent of hauntings are residual. I just think that residual is the most common that you're going to experience. I think an intelligent haunt or poltergeist activity or any other kind of ghostly activity that you experience, I think it takes a lot more energy to manifest. So where it's getting that energy from, I think it's more rare to find those things. So it's not necessarily like you obviously can't put a number on it, right? So we can't say that there's definitely 25 ghosts in here or 25 hauntings in here. The 23 of them are residual, and then the other 2 ghosts, they show up when they feel like it. You can't do that. It's not the way this stuff works. But I just think
it's actually my least favorite thing that places do.
Yeah, when they're
like, there's definitely 42 ghosts here. It's like, okay, bro. How do you know there's 42 ghosts? It drives me insane.
I agree that people like to insert themselves, I think, in a lot of things, and that would be one of them. It's like, how can you know? Or it's I think one of my biggest pet peeves when I've watched investigations or even participated in them, not that I've experienced a whole lot personally, but when people go into a location with a preconceived notion of what they're dealing with, it's like, well, old man Whipple died here, so let's, and you spend the whole investigation going, old man Whipple, are you here? Are you here? What if it's not old man Whipple? What if it's, Pete the plumber who, took a header going down the stairs? You don't know. And so go ahead.
That's an important point. It's a great point, because if you go in addressing the wrong ghost, two things could happen. Number one is you go into a haunted location and you assume that old man Whipple is haunting this location, right? Mm-hmm. So you go there addressing old man Whipple the whole time and you get no responses.
All right.
Might be because you weren't talking to old man Whipple the whole time. So it doesn't mean the location is haunted. Hell, if somebody comes in to my house, or if I run into somebody in the street and they're like, hey, Derek, how are you? I might not talk to that person at all, because I'm like, this person thinks I'm Derek and I'm not Derek. My name's Jesse. Right? So you either don't talk to that person or you're quick with them. You're like, oh yeah, wrong guy. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Right? So you get, again, it goes back to speaking to spirits like you would speak to people. Right?
Right.
Figure out who you're talking to first. Don't assume. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm actually shocked Dave hasn't left, because you brought up Pete the plumber, and Dave notoriously hates plumbers.
What's going on there, Dave?
I don't hate that. That's an inside joke. Rob loves to throw inside jokes around, like everyone knows what's going on.
Completely different shows.
He thinks it's super funny.
No one else needs to know. We just know that you hate plumbers. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is this just...
It goes back to Mario and Luigi. I used to get really angry at that video game, so it kind of lingers.
I was just wondering if it had to do with people that don't wear belts.
He was hoping that he could eat a mushroom and grow taller, and he never could. So that's
he ate mushrooms and ended up wandering around the airport. Got arrested.
People thought I was a residual haunting.
Oh my God, talking to spirits everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. Eric Fry comes in. Ever want to visit Mount Shasta?
Oh, with the missing island of the Lemurians.
Ooh, okay.
I think that's so. If I'm thinking of the same,
you might be.
I hope so, because otherwise, that's a really weird reference.
Well, I think this is in California, and I'm pretty sure this is interesting. There's UFO sightings, right? But also they believe that there was this island. I'm trying to think, and it disappeared, and it was called like the island of the Lemurians or something like that. And they
that rings a bell.
It sunk and disappeared, and apparently that this mountain is haunted by these people. If I'm fucking wrong, like I'm really wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is what this is. I think it's in California. We haven't looked into it, but I've wanted to, because it's interesting. But I don't know how to incorporate it into like a ghost story, right? Because
what's alarming is a quick Google search says Mount Shasta is a potentially active volcano. Like, I think you need someone to figure that out. Right, potentially active volcano is a very dangerous situation. There's got to be somebody.
Right. John LaBella says I'm correct. Thank you, John.
Hell yeah!
For the clarification.
Right, now we need to find out if it's actually active. John LaBella, go to that volcano and figure that out for us.
Yes. Jump inside. Let us know if it erupts.
If you come back, we know it's not active.
It's safe.
Yes, I have heard of it. I do want to cover it. We should do it for side content. It'd be a great dark mystery episode. Nice. Maybe I will.
All right, Misfire Jack, we're going to probably have to just take a question or two more and then roll on to the special segment here. Excuse me. Misfire Jack comes in. How do you protect your mental health from the spirits and experiences you go through?
We don't. Have you watched our show?
For David,
we're all completely out of our mind.
Strictly whiskey based.
Cheers.
Oh, damn. Nice.
Yeah, you got ahead of me.
It is a great question, though. I don't do anything in particular, but what I can tell you is after an investigation, and I think I can speak freely for all of us on this, we are all physically and mentally drained by the end of an investigation. And
100%.
I need a day to recover usually after an investigation.
Sure.
Not that we always have a day to recover because of the schedule we're on, but yeah, it's more about the recovery for me than the other way. Maybe that's not good, but we haven't had issues that we know of yet. Knock on every piece of wood I can find. But yeah, it's just more about getting over that drainage for me.
You know what was good? What we did last time when we went to Austin because we did the investigations day 1, day 2, and then we booked a late flight for day 3, and we just chilled out that day. We got a late lunch, we zipped around on scooters, we checked our bags, checked out of the hotel, and just kind of hung out and chilled out. And I thought that was, at first I was like, why are we flying out so late? We're not going to get home till late. But it was nice to just hang out in the city and kind of just unwind.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than when you go on a trip and you have to like panic, wake up early, check out a hotel, and get straight to the airport. It was actually kind of nice to just kind of chill for the day.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a quick question then. What process do you guys have, or do you have a process to protect yourselves before entering an investigation?
This is something that I think me and Dave, we have wives that are worried. Rob has no family, so he's got nothing to worry about. But my wife is very, she's religious, and so I think if we start going to like deeper and darker places, it's probably gonna have to be something that, for our marriage sakes, it's probably a good idea that we do some sort of cleansing or religious. Take some steps to make sure that we don't bring something home, because while me and Dave are psychopaths and we would love to bring something home because we can document it and make some really cool hometown ghost stories episodes for it and talk about it on the next episode of Paranormal Portal.
There you go.
The wives would not be happy with us, and this would lead to
troubles. So we've never done anything beforehand, like protective, but I've come home where my wife is not comfortable. She didn't like me going to the Conjuring house. She was not okay with that. She didn't like what went down in San Antonio. She was not cool with that. That's another story. But we came when I come back, she keeps sage. Yeah, she's into that stuff, and she'll like sage the house and cleanse the house of whatever she thinks might be, just as a preventative measure from what I might bring back to these places, but not so much before I go to them, which might be something to look into. At least give her, if nothing else, peace of mind.
Again, we're doing this for investigative purposes and we're doing this for research. So I would worry about, if I were to do something beforehand, am I not going to experience the paranormal things that I want to experience in a haunted location? So that's kind of like I really want to see some cool stuff side of me when I go into a place. But yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say that my wife had literally called in a priest to come in and do a full-blown exorcism on my house before, because that's happened as well.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah, there are steps being taken, but not as thorough as we could be, I suppose. But
okay, I just take a nap.
Rob just gets a nap. Good deal. Good deal. Well, gentlemen, I want to introduce you with my pet concept here. And you guys are actually the guinea pigs for this. I've never done this before on the show. I will admit, I think I've kind of taken the idea from Wes Germer a little bit, but I think it's good fun. And I'm going to give you guys a Paranormal Portal quiz, and you all have papers and a pen handy, and you all three of you will be competing for a Paranormal Portal t-shirt. So how do you feel about that?
I'm ready.
Hope you got an extra large, since I'm going to win.
I got whatever size you need, brother. We just so you know, some of these questions have to do with cryptids, some with UFOs, but also some ghost ones. And there's some, I'm sure with most of the ghost ones, there'll be ringers for you guys, because you're clearly very well versed in the ideas and concepts behind all of this. But some of them are going to be maybe out of your wheelhouse. So I don't know. Hopefully. All right. Yeah. Because if we get a tie, I got to buy 3 shirts.
Yeah.
All right.
What if we tie with all at 0? Does that still count as a tie?
Jeez.
Look, Rob, we're on the same page. Literally.
You got an umbilical cord between you two, or what is that? That's crazy. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the first ever Paranormal Portal quiz featuring hometown ghost stories competing for the title. Here we go. I don't have a graphic for this.
There's music.
Just music. Yep, we just got music. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are now audience to the first ever Paranormal Portal quiz, where I ask these 3 gentlemen some paranormal questions. The top score wins a Paranormal Portal shirt. So I'm going to do my best to keep score. We'll just do 1 point per question. Some of them have multiple points, so maybe we'll do 1 point for as many as you can come up with. But question number 1, right to cryptozoology here, folks. So, all right. On what year was the Patterson-Gimlin film recorded? Take your best guess if you don't know. All right, when you have your answer, hold them up to the screen.
There's no shot. I knew I was getting this correct.
Would you say 1479?
19, sorry, 19.
Oh, okay, sorry. 1979, 1964, 1972. It was actually 1967. So
Ooh.
I think, Rob, you got that one, right?
I don't think he did. I think he got it
the
wrong, just like the other two did.
Closest without going over.
All right, so we'll go with 0 points for question number 1 because you're right.
Wow.
It's not a correct answer, but you were closest, Rob.
That's right, because I'm the best.
October 20th, 1967. All right, number 2. Where was the Patterson-Gimlin film recorded? Do you know the location? I should have Jeopardy music going. All right, what do you got? In the woods. Gimlin. What does yours say? Germany?
Germany.
It was actually Bluff Creek, California.
I was the closest.
Was it in the woods though?
It was in the woods. You're right. You're right, Rob. That would be a
Don't set that precedent. You can't give him that.
Yeah.
I know.
Outside. Yeah.
You weren't specific. You didn't say that it had to be
That's true.
a
That's true. I should probably word these more carefully. So, number 3. What year did the alleged Roswell UFO crash occur? Best estimate.
You're making us look really bad.
No,
Not great.
I mean, you're
Ask
home.
us some ghost questions.
They're coming. They're coming. The next one's a UFO one too. Sorry, guys. 1942, 1972, and what is yours, Jesse? It's blurry.
It's the correct answer.
What is that? I could.
19. I went 1988.
1988. Okay, it was actually 1947. All right.
Oh, Rob, nice.
Yeah. So
I knew it was the 40s. I couldn't remember exactly.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. Actually, Rob,
Yeah.
you're pretty close.
Shut up, Rob.
All right, number 4. Now this is just a name, and maybe you've heard of this. This is another UFO question. This UK forest was the location for an incredible UFO event where U.S. service members allegedly came into contact with a UFO. Name the forest. It was right by a military base. Anything, Jesse? Nope, not Cannock Chase. Good guess, though.
It's the only forest I know in the UK.
What does yours say, Dave?
Rendlesham.
That is correct.
I wrote the same one down.
Rendlesham, 2 points. Dave and
There's
Jesse.
no fucking way. There's no way.
Well, unless Jesse knows shorthand, I think he did. Because that was really quick after Dave put his up. All right, it's Rendlesham. All right, number 5. Name 3 famous lake monsters.
3?
Just 3. I'll give you 1 point for each one you get right. If you come up with some weird ones, I got to pull up the Wikipedia page because there's a lot of them out there.
Does it count if it's 3 variations of the same one?
No.
A lake monster.
Lake monster, though. That's weird.
Yeah, like, those plesiosaurs that they think are everywhere. Okay.
These would count.
Oh, now what does that say? I mean, I can never read yours, Dave.
I'm sorry. It says Loch Ness and then the Lake Placid Gator
Okay.
That's just a movie.
and Rob's mom.
Wow.
I'll give you 2 points on that, Dave. Jesse.
I went Loch Ness, giant squid, and kraken, but I'm pretty sure 2 of those are in the ocean.
Kraken's in the ocean, you idiot.
Actually,
I just went with Nessie and Dave, and I didn't have a good, funny third one.
I'll give you 2, Jesse, because actually there is a giant squid one.
Hell yeah.
Or it's actually a giant octopus, but either way. All right.
Well, that'd be, yeah, okay.
Rob, you got a point. Dave's at 3, and Jesse's at 3. You got the brothers tying so far. All right. Name the two major types of hauntings. We kind of covered it in our discussion, but that's okay. All right. Residual intelligent. That's two. Well, at one point, yeah, because it's named two. I'll give you one for each.
Give you a bonus. It's when Dave doesn't leave.
Fact. That is a fact.
He haunts my nightmares.
In my dreams.
All right. Number 7. This one will be an easy one. This type of spirit is very active, although its activity is usually very short-lived. Its name means noisy ghost. Yes, gentlemen, all of you are correct. Boy, we're getting down to the wire here.
Thank God we know our stuff.
Damn, I know, right?
I was sweating bullets when we were getting to some of this. Although we could still get some stuff wrong.
Number 8. This 120-year-old famous doll depicts a little boy in uniform who bears a powerful curse, including severe misfortune for those who take his photo without permission. Name the doll. There you go. Yep.
That says Robert. Jesus Christ, my handwriting is not good.
Yep. You all three are.
You could have led with these, so at least felt a little smart when you started doing this.
I know.
But you're ending strong.
Okay, all right, I respect it.
All right. I actually scribbled out one of the questions and put in another ghost one before the show, just so you know.
Well, thank you.
Robert's doll's 120 years old now?
Yeah, he's 120
That's
years
crazy.
old.
I got the doll list. The story's not, though, right?
No, I don't think. I think it just started out.
No,
with
the story came out when he was
the
in
kid
adult
was
school.
just obsessed and speaking to him like he was a person, which was concerning to everybody. All right, here's a weird one, another cryptid one. Number 9, and this one's lesser known, but maybe you guys have heard of it. This frog-like creature reportedly stands approximately 4 feet tall and terrorized residents of the Ohio town, which is part of its namesake. Can you name this cryptid?
I wish I wore the frog onesie now.
I know, you get an outfit.
We have a whole frog thing on our show.
I'll give you a hint. It starts with the word love. Oh, yes.
Don't copy me, you piece of shit. I see you.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I got nothing for that. I wrote down, I just hope we all have fun.
Are you having fun? Yeah, good.
I'm having a great time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. So it's the Loveland frog. That is correct. Dave, you got that one? Number 10. This New Hampshire couple experienced what they claim as an abduction, an ET abduction on September 19th or 20th, 1961, and were instrumental in putting ET abduction in the American awareness. Who were these two people?
God. I know this story so well, and why can't I think of their names? I mean, I know this story. I think saying it so well is...
Yeah, I remember the last name. I don't remember the first names. So
That is correct. That is correct.
All right, I'll take it. Thank you.
I didn't see her, Jesse. Was this the same?
Yes, that is correct. And Dave,
Was it the Hills?
It was, yeah.
No, you're too late with that. You liar. You liar.
I'm joking. I have no clue.
All right. Well, okay. That was my last question. So let's see what we
shit.
got. Rob with 2, 4, 5. We got Dave with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Bullshit.
I think
all I
Dave
care
wins
about
on the
beating
frog
Rob.
question.
Jesse has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a
Oh,
tie.
yeah, tiebreaker.
All right.
I guess I win
We
by
have to
default.
share a T-shirt.
Okay, here's your
Jesse,
will
you
say
can have the
this.
sleeves. I'll get the rest.
If I win, can I request that the T-shirt is lightly worn? I just want some of that Brent Musk, you know.
Would you like it to smell like me? All right. I'll tell you what. I'll let you do rock, paper, scissors for the win. Can you guys do it? Can you coordinate that?
Can we do it in time? We ready?
Go ahead.
Count down. All right. 3, 2, 1. Rock,
Well, fucking it.
I didn't telegraph.
Oh, God, this is embarrassing.
I feel like I win.
Let's try it again.
Scissors beats nothing.
All right, I'll call it out. You guys ready? All right.
Wait, hang on.
Okay.
Brent, you got to have some sort of paranormal question that you can conjure in your head and throw at us to see who gets it right.
Hey, idiots, just one of you write
Rob, shut up.
what you're doing on a paper.
Nobody
and
wants to
hold it
hear
up.
from the loser.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we got these papers in front of us. Just write down rock, paper, or scissors.
There you go.
Be a timing thing.
All right. Whenever you're ready, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Hold it up. Paper.
Hell yeah.
All right. Dave.
Bold's going with paper after I threw the scissors out there all willy-nilly.
I know.
Dave, you are the winner.
No, Jesse's the winner.
What did you say?
I think
I
rock
said
beats
paper and he put rock.
Oh, I got it
I've
backwards. Sorry.
always had this theory that rock should also beat paper. And on what planet would paper beat a rock?
All right. Well, I don't know. It wraps around the rock, I think, is the deal.
I think that is the play.
Congratulations,
Plymouth Rock.
Jesse Wilkins. You are the champion of the Paranormal Portal quiz.
Thank you. It was an absolute honor. I did prepare a speech.
Yeah, please.
It says, I just
1979,
hope we all
Germany. 1972.
I hope that was kind of fun. I don't know. It's just,
That was a great time. I loved it.
Yeah.
well, cool.
Thank God Dave didn't win because I'm assuming you don't have child sizes.
I don't think we have onesies.
Well, you should.
No, I'm
we
kidding.
should have onesies.
Dave, you're great. You guys are awesome. I just had a blast having you guys on here as always. It's just incredible to sit back and talk with you guys, and thanks for making time for this tonight.
Oh,
Absolutely. Anytime.
Anytime you want us on, we will come on.
Excellent.
Dream come true, my friend.
What are you
Absolute
doing?
honor.
What are you guys doing tomorrow?
I'm ready. I'm in.
Episode of Paranormal Portal.
I'm studying my cryptid so I can go in and
Yeah, Jesus.
Boy, was your chat let down by having us on that contest early on in that con.
Oh,
So,
you guys
all
did
right.
great. You did wonderful.
Seven out of what? 10? 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it was
Not bad.
7 out of 10. You guys, there's 3 between you and Jesse and Rob. You've got some homework to do.
Rob's got he's got the child-sized brain. Child-sized T-shirt. He's got the child-sized brain. It's all good.
There it is. All right, gentlemen, could you
waitress.
could you take a couple minutes and let people know how to stay in touch with what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get us on any of the podcast platforms. You can go to Hometown Ghost Stories on YouTube. If you want to interact with us, we have our own Discord, much like Brent has the Paranormal Portal one. If you're looking to interact with other people that talk about ghosts, you can do it there. But yeah, mostly watch us on YouTube every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We are live with our main episode. You can come in, you can hang out just like you're doing now. What you're doing now, you could do Tuesday nights and talk about ghosts with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you go back to the archives, you will find Brent Thomas here on several episodes of Hometown Ghost Stories. He's our absolute favorite guest that we've ever had on the show, and our favorite person in the world. Yeah, absolutely. So, not only does he fill in when one of us is absent, but he's better than Rob. So.
Well, how you do go on. Okay. No, it's been a blast, guys, and thanks again. And yeah, I mean, I will look into the New Orleans thing and see if that's a possibility. Just
It'll be so much fun.
throw me some
send you
dates.
info.
Yeah, if you would. And feel free to pay for anything for me if you want. That's cool too.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sign up for our Patreon, and
yeah.
maybe we can afford to fly Brent out to New Orleans with us.
It's the Brent Thomas Initiative. There you go.
Yep. That'll be a brand new tier.
Oh, that'd be a
Make a
lot
tier
of fun
for you.
But yeah, gentlemen, it's been a blast, and I had always a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked out their show, please check it out. You're gonna love it, and spread the news about Hometown Ghost Stories as well as the Paranormal Portal. We are definitely brothers in arms, and it's just been an incredible relationship and friendship to have with these guys. And I, if you don't love them, then there's definitely something wrong with you. All right.
I would agree.
It's always good, and I'm honestly always impressed with your chat. Like these they're always dropping great questions and making funny jokes and everything like that. It reminds me very much of our own group of people there. So and we got a few guys sprinkled in there that are also in ours, but Absolutely legendary group of people you've assembled here, Brent. We're impressed.
I wish I could take credit for it. They just all found me and kind of made it home. So I'm just lucky. But yeah, thank you, Barbara, for the donation. I appreciate that a bunch. And until next time, which will be tomorrow night, I'll be back, I think, just by myself. So I hope you'll come and keep me company. And we'll get into all kinds of paranormal goodness and see what we can crack open. So, gentlemen, just hold on a minute. Let me wrap up the show here, and I'll be right with you.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody, take care. Remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.